No matter what starting moon you prefer, all roads lead to Artifice. It's the most expensive and most profitable moon in the game, with one of the most diverse exteriors available. So with the new cruiser added, I wanted to see how viable it would be on the most dangerous moon. I mean, Seekers literally showed the cruiser off on Artifice. Surely it's good, right? Well, I spent 50 days of driving on Eclipsed Artifice to find out. Now, to establish some setup, the main thing I'm measuring here is whether I can drive to and from the facility with the cruiser while entities are active. That's why I chose to do this on Eclipsed only. I also chose it to help simulate the number of entities you would encounter later in the day with a full squad. For those who don't know, the more players in your lobby, the more likely it is for entities to spawn. The interior looting / experience is not relevant for the testing. I'm trying to narrow down just the driving aspects of Artifice. My goal is to drive the ship sometime around 1 PM or later. That way there's been time for spawn cycles to occur and fill up the cap without having to wait forever and waste time. I have a life split set up in the bottom left with a fraction denoting the number of successful runs out of total runs. That way you can keep track along with me. I am quite bad about remembering to activate the timer, but I will get better at it during the second half of the video. With all the preamble out of the way, let's get started. It's day 1 and I am woefully unprepared. I have very little time spent driving on Artifice and 0 time spent driving on Eclipsed Artifice, so I'm going to need a few days to see what works and what doesn't. I had a good landing, which allowed for an easy drive to main, and for now this is where I'll be parking. But admittedly, this is quite dangerous since you're exposed to every angle. I did some cautious looting inside to kill time, and on the way back, I tried to hit a giant that was in the way, but I barely missed, after which he just kind of ran into me and killed me. So day 1 is a loss. Day 2 and baboon hawks are the ones causing problems this time. One in particular is bullying me as I try to get through the fence to main, and at the same time a giant locks onto me. I couldn't get control of the cruiser in time to drive away or run him over, and so we'd end up dying as well. Day 2 is also a loss. For day 3, we are spotted by a giant immediately upon landing. I try to drive forward to run it over, but there's a random rock spawn that I get stuck on. And this would have been it, but an old bird swooped in to save us. Unfortunately, after killing the giant, it also killed the cruiser, which means day 3 is a loss. I didn't cover this before, but in the event that the cruiser gets destroyed, even if we survive, that is still a loss, since we can't get it back to ship. Regardless, I'm sure that will get better. It's only day 3 after all, right? We run over our first giant on day 4, securing a path over to fire. My looting gets cut short inside because Ghost Girl spawns, so I hightail it outside just in time to see a baboon hawk spawn and kill itself on cruiser. Oh well. Poor guy didn't deserve it. But it's 1 PM, time to head back. This time, I decided to try the side route along the fence by fire instead of the center lane. But unfortunately for me, even though I thought it would be safer, there was a giant waiting for me around the corner of the warehouse, and so day 4 is also a loss. Day 5, and I'm feeling a little demoralized by this point. I mean, I knew it would be a little hard because we're on Eclipsed only, but still, no successes, not even kinda close. Feels bad. Anyways, there's another giant on the way towards fire, and so I figured I should kill it in order to make the path safer, and that's what I do. Unfortunately, and I hadn't known this beforehand, but giants can fall on you through the cruiser and kill you, which is exactly what happens. So even though I killed the giant, it kills me as well in a sad post-mortem death. As a result, day 5 is a loss as well. But hey, at least we learned. Day 6 is a fiesta of hell. Random rocks, 2 dogs, and a giant means this run doesn't even make it to the entrance. Day 6 is a quick loss. Let's go. Speaking of rocks, I hate them, and they seem to hate me too. I drive past an old bird, thankfully they don't see you when you're driving, and head inside to pass the time on day 7. We almost make it back to the ship. There's just one final giant hanging next to it, and I try to run him over, but I clip a rock next to him instead, sapping all my speed, and hopes, and dreams, and happiness. As a result, he gets a free kill on me, and day 7 is another loss. I have yet to learn from my mistakes for day 8, as I run over another giant and get crushed again, very quickly. Today is also a loss. But seriously, Seekers, why is this even a thing? There's no other interactions between the giant and the cruiser. It doesn't deal damage to it, it doesn't kill it, it doesn't do anything like that. It's just the player. Whatever. Anyways, day 8 is a loss. Your team just happens to. Time for day 9, and I'm feeling it. No giants on spawn allows for a smooth drive to fire, and we immediately find a gold bar inside, which is a nice bonus. We head back early this time, around 11:30 AM instead of 1 PM, just for my own sanity, and still no giants means an easy route and our first success. But don't worry, I'll be sticking to 1 PM from here on out. And if it's any consolation, Seekers feels the same way, because we spawn in face to face with the giant. I try to loop him around and head towards a warehouse to trap, but there's a second giant at the fence already aggroed onto me, meaning day 10 is a brutal loss. Things are slightly better on day 11, but not by much. We've got triple giants out and angry, so I have to do some legwork before I can drive to fire. Also, I learned something new about giant pathing on Artifice. Take a look. No way they can do that! Where is blood going? Hey man. He's going on a whole what? No shot. I almost died of baboon hawks guarding the door, but our first giant is trapped. And then I bit the second one over without too much issue, and that's 2 down. Unfortunately, for the third, I barely missed the opening as the gate's closing, meaning that I die. That's another loss for day 11. Well, that's that. I couldn't see anything, man. A robot on spawn is great for day 12. He's killing everything that's actually dangerous. There's also a beehive by main that forces me to take the side path again. Back it up, then. My cautious looting ended up more dangerous than intended, though I also made poor choices. I had a coil by main, and I was planning to trap it or at least put it behind a door, but a nutcracker at the top of stairs ended day 12. That's a loss. I know I mentioned that the interior experience isn't really relevant, and so I was thinking about voiding the days where I died inside, but there's only a couple of them, so we're just gonna live with it as is. Day 13 had a solid start, but I made the poor decision of parking by main again, and this is also a great example of why you should turn off the car when you leave it. That's another loss on day 13. Day 14, and I'm showing some signs of small progress. I decide to do some legwork first before I drive over because I can hear some giant footsteps around when we spawn in. There's a giant already in a warehouse, so I trap him real easy, and then I dodge a worm on the way back when I'm loading up the truck. It was a smooth drive on the way, meaning a second success. We're actually learning this time. Fantastic. You know what? I'll take it. Worry about that another time. That being said, all good things in moderation. Day 15 we have another triple giant situation by 10 AM, which is a disaster. I try to trap them like before, but we have a surprise guest, a mimic, and he actually manages to catch me, meaning another loss. This is kind of awkward because it's like, it is and it isn't an interior death. It's weird. Regardless, a loss is a loss. Let's move on to day 16.
Oh my gosh, man.
We're learning all kinds of new things in this game.
Start the timer.
As it turns out, when you're actually putting the key in the ignition and turning it, dogs can hear that, which is how we end up getting absolutely obliterated in the very beginning of day 16. He managed to send the car flying, which killed me with some weird, strange physics of the car. So day 16 is also a loss.
Alright then.
Day 17 was hectic. Immediate giants and roaming bees meant I had some more legwork to do. I trapped 2 old birds in a warehouse while searching for the hive, and we narrowly avoid death from bees while trapping a giant. I need to find this hive soon. Or they'll just find it on their own? Sweet.
Did they find their hive? I think they did. I think they found their hive. Nice.
I bait a worm before grabbing the cruiser and finally head to fire exit.
Alright.
It's already 2 p.m. Jeez. Since I've already taken care of the exterior threats, there isn't much to wait for. I grab a couple items inside and drive back smoothly. Day 17 is a success. Though it took me forever to park the cruiser since the landing zone is so terrible in Artifice. We do die for some strange reason when we attach to the magnet, but it's the only time that it's ever happened, and it's probably just some weird bug or glitch, so I don't really count it as a death. This is a success. Another day, another giant. But it was also our cleanest run yet. We drive to fire like usual and pop inside for some quick loot, and then I run through a giant on the way back, killing it without dying and securing our path to the ship. This is a resounding success for day 18.
Nice.
It seems I just have a tough time learning my lesson, because yet again, I leave the car on when I go inside, and come out to it being destroyed by dogs. So, day 19 is yet another loss because of my own stupidity. But this time, I'll definitely learn my lesson. For sure. Won't happen again. Probably.
Alright then. I didn't learn my lesson, did I? That's my bad.
Honestly, day 20 was pretty chill. Didn't have too much to say about it. Just a couple robots, but they don't really matter because we have the cruiser. And I did get a bit of a scare from one of them, but regardless, the drive back was pretty easy. Another resounding success for day 20.
That's cursed. Nice. That's a success. Yikes. Doesn't look great, but it is a success.
Day 21, and dogs are starting to become a bigger problem than the giants. I probably shouldn't have gotten so close to the dog, but I didn't think he'd get so angry. So, day 21 is also a loss.
Should I stop him, or should I just let him have his fun? He ain't really harming anybody. I'll just go inside and leave him be. Is he gonna leave, or is he just gonna stick there? It's kind of a problem. Oh. Alright then.
We've got even more giants to deal with on day 22. I trapped one easily in warehouse where it spawned, and the second giant spawned trapped to begin with. The interior had some close calls with bracketed coil, but we make it out. And then I miss a frame attempt on a third giant, and make an emergency pivot to trap him instead. With all 3 giants accounted for, we are free to drive to the ship, and that is a success.
Easy.
It's day 23, and I know I've been rapid firing through a lot of these, but admittedly, when you die in the first 60 seconds of a day, there's not a whole lot you can say or show for the footage. Some days will get longer, don't worry, but this video overall is not going to be that long. Anyways, there's a giant right past the fence for day 23, so I decided to trap him. Unfortunately, I forgot to turn off the ignition before leaving the cruiser, so dogs kill it while I'm gone.
How did he do that?
Day 23 is an unfortunate loss.
What just happened? He went through the wall. I gotta check that tape. My cruiser! What happened? Oh, come on.
Day 24, and it's time for my revenge. I run over 2 dogs on the way to fire and make it inside safely. This felt so good after getting rolled for the past 2 hours. The interior was pretty rough this time around. Mimics, Nutcracker,
Nice.
Butler, the whole gang is here. So I decided to call it before I wind up
Just
dead.
what I wanted my fire.
Having killed some entities already outside, it wasn't so bad. I do a final hit and run on a giant as I return to ship for another success.
Not a good day, but we still made it. I'll consider that a success.
Day 25 was a very quick loss. We spawned face to face with a giant, and then there was another facing out as I passed by a warehouse. We run out of stamina, and that is a quick loss for day 25. With day 25 complete, we are officially halfway through the challenge. We've succeeded 7 times so far for a whopping 28% success rate, which is not ideal. I was hoping for closer to 40 or 50%, nearly double what we have right now, but I guess this is the reality of driving on Eclipsed Artifice for so many days in a row. That being said, we have learned quite a lot, and I'm looking forward to putting all that into practice for the second half of this challenge. If at any point you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate you leaving a like down below, and if you want to stay notified for future uploads, hit that subscribe button. Also, let me know in the comments if you have other moons or challenges you'd like to see me try in the future. Anyways, back to the challenge. Day 26 isn't much better, but it does show that they're evolving, because this time the giant had protection. He used a rock and a baboon hawk as shield, sapping all my speed and making me easy pickings, so day 26 was also a loss.
Alright, well, that was unfortunate.
I owe day 27 to the old birds. They are seriously so useful when they're a neutral entity and not trying to obliterate you. They killed a giant for me on the way to fire, and after some looting I baited wormed and got in the cruiser. Drive back was nice and simple. This is another success.
Generous timer, thank you. Nice job.
Day 28, and yet again, robots are awesome. I baited a giant into robot and he got clapped. Interior was meh, and I got back pretty safely. Day 28 is a success.
Nice. That is a success.
Day 29, and baboon hawks are bullies. They mess with me a little on the way to fire.
Jerks.
But it works out thankfully. I run over a dog real quick while I have the chance and get Ghost Girl the instant I step inside fire. And a thumper spawns on me too.
Come on, man. Bro!
Let's go to main. Uh-oh.
Well,
yeah, I probably shouldn't have jumped. I hate dying to interior since it kind of voids the day. The whole point of the challenge is to test the driving aspects, not the interior, but so be it. I only die a couple times, and in the future, I will probably redo these days in these instances. Regardless, that's a loss. Day 30 was another calm start, just an old bird from what I could hear. Sounds like he was on a rampage. Also had a kid on Perfaux, but they don't really matter much when you have the cruiser. Bracken scared the hell out of me inside, but there wasn't much else to mention in fire. Main had 2 butlers and a spider that kind of melded into the floor. Spiders are generally pretty glitchy when it comes to mansion layouts. Anyways, I had to kite an old bird briefly so I could make it back to the cruiser, and after that it was a relaxing drive back to ship. There weren't really any giants that I found, which meant another success. Alright, so for day 31, I'll just be up front. I got crushed by a giant again.
Crap, I haven't been.
But hey, this time it was experimental, okay? I was not just being stupid. I thought that if I was fast enough, I could drive out from under the corpse before it fell on me. But that was incorrect. Anyways, time for day 32. and, well, I'll just let you watch what happened.
Well, that was the worst.
Day 33 brings good news and bad news. Bad news is we died a Butler and Coil combo. The good news is this will be our last interior death. Huzzah! But still, a loss regardless. Sorry. Day 34, and I'm still learning new things about Artifice. Did you know that eyeless dogs could fit through this gap? I sure didn't. Anyway, by this point I was pretty tired. I started recording this session around 10 PM and it was close to 1:30 in the morning.
No idea.
My gameplay was slipping, so I decided to call it and record the rest for another time.
We should have just stayed to the side.
Day 35 marks the start of a new session, and I'm excited to try some new things. Let's see how the game will treat me. Like garbage. Like absolute trash. Honestly, the spawns were rough. Giants right by fire forced me to take a detour around until I could make it back, and a kidnapper fox was also on the loose and had infested the right warehouse with vein shrouds. I end up at the cruiser but make a terrible choice to try and ram the giant on the way back, hitting a tree instead. Of course, there was a second one right by the ship, so I don't think I would have survived regardless. I abandoned the cruiser, leaving it on by mistake, to try and circle back to it at a later time, but a dog decides that he's had enough and kills the cruiser. Day 35 is a loss. It's day 36 and I've got Weed Killer this time. I've had it in the ship for forever, but I was neglecting it up until now because I didn't want there to be any deaths due to exploding or my own fault. However, I decided to change my mind at this point in time and felt that it would be interesting to see if I could actually improve my success rate by using cruiser boosts and jumps. So, I'm feeling a little frisky. Let's see how it goes. I ram a giant on the way to fire like it's nothing, not dying to crushing, and decide to just wait around instead of risking death inside. Skip forward to 1 PM, and I have an idea. There's a little patch of flattish ground by the shed at the fence near fire, so I decided to boost jump over it. Took a little damage and some confusing orientation, but I drove back to ship rather safely. Could probably do a second boost jump straight into magnet from the bottom of the ship, but I just wanted to get another success, so I drove up like normal. Day 37 and I slip off the front during landing, taking damage, which is not ideal, but hey, I'm alive so I'm happy. The drive to fire was chill, no giant sound cues yet. Scratch that, bro spawned directly at fire around 10 AM. Why, Zeekers? Why? I have to try and bait outside the fence, but that doesn't work, so I circle all the way around to try trapping in warehouses. That does nothing, but they've wandered enough that I can get back to cruiser. I do the jump again from previous day, over the fence, and drive to ship. I do experiment once with boosting up to magnet, but leave it at that. Day 37 is another success. 2 in a row. Day 38 was a real sad story, and it was completely my fault too. Started off with the giant plus dog at the ship, good old classic combo. I circle ship once to get a chance to try and trap giant. There's 2 out, but then the robot comes in, thankfully. He swoops in, kills one, and then kills another right after. He's quite bloodthirsty. I bait him back to ship to kill the dog camping, and by this point, significant threats have been taken care of. There's also like 3 or 4 robots on the map, which is kinda crazy. So it should be a free day, right? Because the robots cannot see you typically when you're driving cruiser. But this is where my mistake comes in. I decide not to check the health of the cruiser to repair it, and on the way back from fire, I drive under the feet of a couple robots, hit a tree that puts me on fire, and the kidnapper fox just decides to ruin us by killing the cruiser. I could have avoided all that if I just healed it. Day 38 is a loss, and it's all my fault.
Column starts to day 39. I run over one giant at a warehouse and cruise to fire. Interior gives me a bad feeling, so I just chill until 1. I run through a second giant on the way to ship, and that is an astounding success. If only I could do that every day. Seekers didn't like how easy I had it with day 39, so he wanted to put me in my place with day 40. Still, I learned something new. Watch the skies. Check it out. What? In my notes for day 41, I just have that nowhere is safe from dog plus giant. I almost made it too. But remember those vein shrouds infesting the right warehouse that I mentioned? Well, I didn't. So the Kidnapper Fox obtained his first and only kill this video. That's a loss. I'm dead. More dog plus giant equals suck. Thankfully, a robot was on the case. However, I got sandwiched between a dog and a giant again, so this was a loss. Also scared the hell out of me. Shh. He can't hear me. Please don't. Ah! Jesus. Oh. Drive to fire was chill again on day 43. Interior graced me with a kitchen by the exit, so I grabbed a couple things to kill time. The tag team combo of dog plus giant makes a return. Giant forces me away from Cruiser, and since I forgot to turn it off, the dog starts attacking it. I end up dying to dog, and that's another loss. Day 44, and I can't tell if I'm getting better at the drive to fire, or I'm just getting good spawned. Regardless, I make it and chill till it's time to leave. No giants means an easy route back, and this is a success. Nice and simple. Seekers is back again with pain for day 45. I make it to fire, and he decided to just spawn a dog right in front of me. I should have just turned it off and left, but I thought I could kill it with the Cruiser.
Are you serious,
Nope.
man?
That's a loss.
Are you like what?
What are you... Day 46, and I hid from Robot in the back of the Cruiser till it was time to leave. Drive to fire was chill again. And no giants means another easy drive too. That's a rapid success for day 46. Nice. All above a 30%. Day 47, and Seekers, can you remove this telephone pole? I hit it way more than I should, but it's so obnoxious. I take the side route by the shed to fire. Interior isn't bad, but I almost get clapped by a nutcracker spawn. I hate you. The drive back is plagued with baboons and a giant. Unfortunately, they kill the Cruiser, so this is a loss. I don't have much to say for day 48, so I'll just let you watch what happened, because it's pretty quick. Day 49. Robot almost ends the day near fire, but I squeeze by. And no giants mean enlightenment, and that's a success. Finally, we reached the final day, day 50. We are hovering just below a 1 in 3 success rate, so I really want to make it back. Drive is pretty calm to fire. A worm threatens me, but he can't catch up. I grab a handful of items inside and wait out till 1. Robots are going crazy in the center, killing everything they can. Good news for me though. I drive back under their protection, and day 50 is a success. All in all, we made it back 17 times out of 50 days for a 34% success rate. I think my inexperience in the first half made me struggle a lot, and if I redid this challenge in the future, I would get closer to 50%. You'll notice that just about all my deaths are due to either giant or dog. Giants still reign as the most problematic entity outside, but dogs are also a problem because they'll kill the cruiser if you leave the key inside. Of course, on non-eclipsed days, the drive to facility is free in the morning because nothing is spawned in yet. I likely made this harder on myself than necessary, but I'm happy with the results and data obtained. Let me know what map you'd like to see next. And finally, of course, subscribing and liking the video really helps me out a lot, and it'll keep you notified for future uploads. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!